person said, "Are you sure black people won't be offended?"
Oh, wow.
I said, Sal, I think they've been offended for about 50 years.
Yeah. Welcome to a brand new episode of Society and Pop Culture 101. I am Instructor BK Spades here with
your gym teacher and temporary instructor JB. JB versus the world.
not the gym teacher. All right. Before we get too deep into our jokes, do me a favor, make sure you like, share, subscribe wherever you're listening to this. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Good Pods, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, man, so we'll know that you're digging the show, that you like the show, or if you got opinions, give it to us. We'll take them. Okay, so on today's episode, though, we are going to be talking about accurate casting, where representation comes in and all that. So let's jump right into it. So recently here, especially on Twitter, you've been having a a battle with people over the casting of Aaron Pierre from Ridge Road. I think that's the name of the movie on Netflix. I actually really liked the movie. It was a great movie. I think he's a wonderful actor. Let's just call a spade there. The dude is greatness. He got the future for him is bright.
Absolutely.
But recently here it was announced by James Gunn that he will be Green Lantern John Stewart in the Lanterns show on HBO Max. So, like I said, you've been on Twitter and it has been tumultuous with the back and forth. The Twitter universe, the internet universe as a whole is split down the middle on this casting. So I figured it was important we start there and give our thoughts about how we feel. But let's start with you, JB. What's your thoughts?
I think what we're witnessing is like a butterfly effect in real time, because he wouldn't have had that role if John Boyega hadn't dropped out.
Oh, that's true.
Like, this is just like a real like it's like a what if, like a modern day what if happened right before our very eyes. But I like him as an actor. Like you said, he's a fantastic actor. He's been on the rise for a minute. His star is going to continue to rise over the next couple of years or so. He could be one of the next young actors to kind of come up. He just turned 30. So
okay. Yeah, he's real young.
Yeah, like within like the last couple months, just turned 30. So we'll see like what happens with him. He has another couple of projects that are on the rise that are supposed to do very well expectedly. But as far as him being John Stewart is concerned, I ain't gonna hold you, man. I don't like it. I don't like it.
So why not? Why do you not like this casting?
I just don't think he fits. I don't think he. I mean, sure, he has the voice of a John Stewart. I think he kind of has like the demeanor of him. But when I think about John Stewart, I've always thought, every depiction of him has been like a dark-skinned man, and his dark skin has been a part of his character, a part of his upbringing, a part of how he carries himself, and a part of his self-image of himself. Like, that's him. And in every iteration of the character, like whether it be cartoons, well, only cartoons and comic books, he's been dark skinned. So to kind of go with a lighter skinned actor for this, I feel like is colorism right in front of our faces, which is something that we do face as Black people, because we're not just like one shade or whatever, but like colorism is a thing in Hollywood. It is a thing in the workplace. It is a thing in our everyday lives. Darker skinned men have this perception that they are harder to deal with, harder to control, more likely to kind of like rage or crash out on people who have a certain point of view of us.
Yeah. So you brought up the character being dark skinned in every iteration that there has been of John Stewart, and there's a solid reason why that is. And I'll tell you how I feel about it after this, about him being cast. The reason that he is dark skinned is because his original creator, which is a white guy, absolutely made it a point to make him a dark skinned male, to the fact that even when the editors and the people that's running DC at the time, which is what, like 1960 something, around that time, 1970, 1960,
Yeah,
late 1960, early 70s.
he debuted in
Because
1971. John Stewart debuted in
1971.
1971. Yeah.
Even though they had characters that were black in the comics before him, they will always use a specific color to make him to make those characters like brown. But
Mhm.
being the debut of one of the earliest, I think he's the first black superhero prominently, it was important to the creator to make him a dark-skinned man. That was
Yeah.
a political statement, even inside of the first comic. And I've discussed this before with you, maybe on the last iteration of this show, where we discussed how the character itself chose not to wear a mask. Like Hal was like, okay, so this is how you create your mask to protect your identity. And John was like, I don't need no mask. I let it all hang out.
Mhm.
All of these things are important to the character for the relations of to fight racism, basically.
Right.
Not just
Uh,
it wasn't about colorism at the time. It was specifically about showing that dark-skinned people can exist in these mediums, and they can be a hero, and they can be on the up and up. You don't have to vilify these people. And what's funny about that conversation is they were pushing back on him, was like, well, how would black people take you putting a dark-skinned character in this role? Like, won't they be offended by it? And he was like, why would they be offended by it? They know they're black. Like, I think that was one of the most, first of all, coolest lines you could say. Like, these people know who they are and they know how they want to be represented. And just because I'm a white male with the power to push this, it shouldn't make a difference of how the character is looked at to them. This is me giving them their representation because I am in the position to be able to give them their representation, because at the time there was no one else to do it. And I
right.
commend him for it, and I will try to find the clip. But by the time y'all see this, it should be here. I might put it at the end of the day.
Along with Julie Schwartz, and said, Neil, we noticed you colored this John Stewart guy kind of dark brown. I said, yeah. He said, well, are you sure you want him dark brown? Because generally when we do black people, we color them light brown. No, I think we're going to go with that. Well, you know, it's not going to take any. You could just change the numbers on the colors and it could be light brown. I said, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to leave it this way. Are you sure? Are you sure you want to do that? I said, I'm pretty damn sure, guys, that we want to do that. And they said this, which is hard to believe in the context of today.
Yeah.
Sal Harrison said, are you sure black people won't be offended?
Oh, wow.
I said, Sal, I think they've been offended for about 50 years.
Yeah. And also, this on a personal level. Why accuracy in John Stewart? Like, because I'm not sure what number he is. I think he's definitely in the top. He's definitely top 5 first black superheroes and first black superheroes to get their own title.
Yeah.
Like, he's definitely amongst those. Because that John Stewart debut on his own title was 1972. Like a year after he debuted in the comics. But
seriously important character.
Seriously important character. On a personal level, I feel, and I've always felt, that if you're going to introduce a character like a mainstream, a mainstay, an important character to a TV audience for the first time, it's important to nail them down. Absolutely. Because that's who they are. I use an example of like nailing stuff down as Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Like him having the web fluid come out of his actual wrist, as opposed to like him making his web fluid.
Yeah.
Was is a thought, is a part of the character, like him doing that in school, in class, on the clock, off the clock. Like that's like a thing for his character. Him running out of web fluid mid fight is a thing. And for a lot of people, that version of Spider-Man was their first introduction to it, to real Spider-Man. So they thought, okay, he makes his own web fluid. So you see later in a version where they get back to basics with it. They're like, how come he doesn't have his web fluid? And it's like, well, folks don't read. And folks don't read, folks don't, or like they don't have like those introductions to the character because I'm animated spirit. Yeah. Let me start that over. In Spider-Man, the animated series, he made his own web fluid. In Spectacular Spider-Man, he made his own fluid, even though that came later. In every other version, he makes his own web fluid. But in that one version, it came out of his wrist. And that movie came out in what? 2000, 2001, 2000. Yeah.
2001, somewhere around there.
Yeah. And as many versions of Spider-Man have come out in between time. Like we've had like 3 Spider-Man cartoons, like 4 or 5 live action Spider-Man movies or whatever. And the time since like what, 4 or 5?
Live action?
Yeah, like 5. I was gonna say like 5.
Oh, you mean like overall live action?
Yeah, overall live action.
Because you had the 70s series, then you had the Japanese Spider-Man.
I meant more so since that first Tobey Maguire movie came out.
Oh, since Tobey, it's only been 3.
We
right?
have the 3 Spider-Man movies, the 2 Amazing Spider-Man movies, and then they're not live action, but the 2 Spider-Verse movies. We've had 3 Spider-Man cartoons.
All films together.
Yeah.
You're right.
And despite all of that, there are people in 2024 that still think that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is the way where the web fluid comes strapped to the wrist. That's the point I was building to.
Touche.
Because that was their first exposure to Spider-Man. So a lot of these, like, because people don't read or people or what they're introduced to, that's what version of it sticks. I think it's important that these things stick and that you do the best you can to represent the character the best way that first time around.
So I agree with you, but I think a stronger point will probably be able to make here. Okay, not a stronger point, just another strong point, I should say, to actually on the argument of accuracy. Blade. Blade probably one of the most accurate iterations of first outings you will probably find like ever. Even though his story was slightly changed, if you go from the movie version of Blade with Wesley Snipes and then you see him in any other iteration, it does not feel different. It feels like the same guy. Even slightly before that, is in the comics, it's the same guy. The same guy. It felt perfect. Now, when a terrible version of a live action casting would be, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say it.
Which one?
But I love her. Storm, Halle Berry. That's probably like the biggest miscast in
Alexandria Ship too.
That's true. But this goes back. Once you miscast Storm that way, it took a long time before Storm, even in the comics, rebounded from that. Because Halle Berry was such a huge actress, which I have another point we're going to go into about this with the whole representation and casting thing. Because she was such a huge actress, she put the stamp on Storm almost like Robert Downey Jr. put the stamp on Iron Man, even though he is also a perfect casting as well. It's just because they lightened her skin in the movie because Halle Berry's light skin. So they began to lighten Storm. They was already trying to do that anyway. But once they put her in the movie, they gave her an American actress, the tone of Storm kind of shifted a little bit. And here we are. What was that, like the 2001, 2 as well? And it took us all the way up to 2024 before we all got a Storm where we were like, oh, this is Storm. Like whatever the X-Men 97 cartoon had done for Storm didn't matter because Halle Berry was Storm.
Yeah. And that's another thing, man. Like I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, no. You're
These
fine. Go ahead.
versions on screen definitely influence the versions that we get on the pages and cartoons, like going forward. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because not just that, but with Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, like
Mhm.
Iron Man was a C-lister,
Very
like
much so.
beforehand. Like it was at a point that if you put any version of that pre-Iron Man comic book version against Batman, like Batman was coming out on top, like just based on who they were in the comics.
Yeah.
And since then, we've gotten Bleeding Edge, Symbiote, like Superior, like all these types of armors and upgrades and all these contingencies and all these things that Iron Man has gotten in the comics because his profile and his stock has been raised.
Yeah. And so this is why it is, well, this is my point about Storm and Halle Berry being cast as Storm. Because I think it also bleeds into Aaron Pierre being cast as John Stewart now, and which is something that's going on in Hollywood for such a long time. It's just like an accepted norm almost. Producers and big wigs in the studio heads don't care about the source material. What they
Mm-hmm.
care about is someone that they can push to everybody. So usually dark skin doesn't sell, or they don't believe that dark skins can sell. So what they do is they found the most crossover acceptable person. At the time of the 90s, if we're all being honest here, the person that should have been cast as Storm was Angela Bassett. Full stop.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did she resemble the character in the comic, but she has the presence to pull off the strong will and the bravado that Storm has.
The
No,
aura,
there
as
was
you would say.
no, yeah, there's nothing about Storm that Angela Bassett could not have pulled off. If there was a person that should have been cast, it should have been her. But let's just be honest here. Angela Bassett is not what Hollywood sees as the beauty standard. The beauty standard at the time of the 90s was Halle Berry. There was
Mm-hmm.
not a movie or anything that you could see almost without Halle Berry being there. At the time, she was the hottest female black star. You can put her
Correct.
in anything and she will sell. And
Yeah.
I mean, she did Flintstones. I mean, it was a flop at the time, but let's just be real, it's one of the cult classics now. And a lot of us remember that movie because of who? Halle
Halle
Berry.
Berry.
So I think the only real misstep she probably had was the Catwoman movie, and that wasn't her fault. That was the writing of the movie.
Man, that movie was so garbage. All right, I don't know if you remember.
We're not gonna talk about the Catwoman movie, man.
I just remember like it was on Twitter like a year or two ago. There was a huge love fest of the movie, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, that movie was so good!" I'm like, "What?
Not good. Good is not how it was.
What?
Hold on 1 second before we get too deep.
Yeah.
No. Before we get too deep into this, I got Miss Berry, Halle, if you will. We love you, okay? You're like one of
Love
the
lots.
greatest. You're like one of the greatest actresses of all time. Full
Gold
stop.
status.
No BS. We absolutely love 95% of your movies, but you know, there's no shade to you because I know you be on the internet, you be watching. So I don't want to like catch your ire because you deserve all your flowers, man. All your flowers. And we gonna give them to you right now.
Sunflowers, roses,
All of
lilies, onions, all that. They absolutely love you. Like we say, goat status is you. Like you are black royalty. Like we see you. Like, and we've always had nothing but the utmost for you. Like that's all I can say on that tip.
yeah. I just wanted to get that out the way because this ain't
Right.
about you. This ain't
It ain't
about you.
about you.
This about Hollywood and how they keep putting people in roles to get them set up for the kill like that.
Yeah, because like I don't understand how some people can look at that. Who's in that room wrote that script and was like, this is gonna go hard.
I don't know. I don't know. Even the motivation behind the characters was wild. Like,
Yeah.
I just didn't like the whole fashion thing, and
The whole
I get it.
stone skin thing, and like also like Sharon Stone, love her as an actress. What was that?
Yeah, like it felt like everybody was like not in the role that they should have been in, or none of this was written for the actors and actresses that because we know the people in the movie and we know what they're capable of, and that movie did not showcase them in a positive way at all. And the studios should be ashamed of themselves for
I
making
don't
it.
know no Patience Phillips. You know Patience Phillips? I don't know no Patience
I don't
Phillips.
know who that is. I don't know who that is.
Who that is? That was movie with
This is
Catwoman in name only.
this is like, I don't know. You know what? We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on
Yeah,
because
yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna tie that.
I
I
was
can
gonna
tie that.
say
Hold on.
Dragon Ball Evolution.
What's that?
This is Dragon Ball Evolution. Catwoman
What's that?
movie is
What's
almost
that?
in the same. Oh, you're right.
What's Dragon
The
Ball
movie
Evolution?
that
Is that the
doesn't
YouTube?
exist.
Is that the YouTube
The movie
thing?
that doesn't exist.
Is that on Tubi?
All I'm saying,
Fan made?
all I'm saying is Dragon Ball Evolution. For right now, let's pause. It exists. It was bad. We're moving on. We're
Let's
not going to
let
bring it up anymore.
I could tie this up. I could tie this in. I could tie this in. I feel like I can. I feel like there's
This
a
is
thread
my
here.
neuralizer. I need to press the button.
I feel like
All
I can
right, go
tie this
ahead.
in. I feel like I
Tie
can
it in.
because that Catwoman movie was very indicative to the very problem that I have with all these things. Like when it comes to Hollywood and casting and doing comic book movies and comic book representation correctly. Catwoman is a major character, has been pretty much since her inception.
Preach.
Whether it's Eartha Kitt or Michelle Pfeiffer or Anne Hathaway
I
or
love Eartha.
listen.
I'm sorry. Continue.
Listen, we here with it, but we brother, we must stay focused. Brother, we must stay focused.
We focus. We back.
Okay, like representation with these characters and how they're portrayed on screen. Like these are lasting effects, and it's important that they nail them down, especially to us comic book fans, because that's what brought us in the building. Like you don't have to do a 1-for-1 on everything, but for the most important characters, like it's important that you nail it down, not only for us, but the people that you want to introduce and bring them into the fandom. Like if you want to change like some C-listers or lower tier or lesser important characters, that's fine. Like I don't think any of us have a problem with that. But for our stars, for the ones that we care about, I don't think we pretty much care. And I'll give an example of ones that changed up that we don't care about.
Go ahead, do that.
The Eternals.
Facts.
The Eternals.
No one cared.
Like
no one cared.
The Eternals are New God's light from DC, and they basically turned them into walking hard drives with different things happening with them. Like Fastos, played by Brian Tyree Henry, is not gay in the comics. What was the speedster's name? I forget her name. She was so dope.
I forgot her name too, but she was amazing. And the actress was amazing in the role. Keep talking.
Correct. But she was male in the comics. There were no one of Indian descent. They pretty much changed up every single an aspect of every single last one of them, outside of them being walking supercomputers, except for Icarus, who was also a supercomputer amongst them. But yeah, they changed things up about every single last one of them. And we saw the movie, and your thoughts of the movie are your thoughts, but nobody cared.
Nope.
Nobody cared.
Not a soul cared.
No, not nobody said, oh, wait a minute, that's not comic book accurate, because they're not even C-listers. They're like D-listers. They're like the ones in the back that you kind of just dust off and just blow it off. Like even the Guardians of the Galaxy, even like people love the Guardians now, but they're like the third lineup, the Star-Lord lineup we got in the movie. That's the third lineup of the Guardians.
Yeah,
and we got
like
like a temporary one, a temporary reunion of the first ones at the end of the second movie, minus Yondu who had already died.
Yep.
So yeah, like
For the record, I would have loved the original Guardians of the Galaxy in the movies. I think it would have been mad interesting. Like I love James Gunn, but
yeah,
I think he should have chose a different lineup.
yeah,
Although the lineup we got now is very enduring and we love them, but
very
it would have been a
iconic
totally different, would have been a totally different tone at that point.
for
Let's
sure.
since we're talking about comic book accuracy, Star-Lord's whole backstory, completely, pretty much completely different in the comic.
Oh, for sure.
No one cares.
No one
I care
cares.
because I'm a fan. I'm like, I will go look for this stuff, but the rest of the ether of fans, no one cares. No one
Like even
cares.
amongst the comic book fans, like when you think about like who the Guardians are, they might as well be like, I don't know. I don't want to be too disrespectful to somebody's sports teams. They're like, I don't know, like the Houston Texans. Like they there. Like people would like rock with them now, but it's like they've been around for a minute and nobody cares. Nobody cared
Okay.
what was going on before then.
Hold on. I will say they are the Tennessee Oilers before they
Oh,
became the Titans.
okay.
See, because as
Or,
the Oilers,
I'll take
no
it a step
one
further.
cared.
I'll take it a step further.
They
I'll take it a step
became the
further.
Titans, and then they became popular.
I'll take it a step further. They're the Baltimore Colts.
Oh,
Yeah.
deep cuts on the sports
Deep cut.
references. Are they the? I would say the Supersonics, but people like the Supersonics before the
Yeah, they're getting them
Supersonics.
back. They're getting them back.
Oh, word!
They're the
The
Boston
Supersonics
Bean
came back?
Eaters.
We're moving on now. We're moving on now, you guys. So yeah, like watching B-list characters become something different is an okay thing because you was not paying attention to those characters. They are usually failed characters.
Mhm.
Nothing grinds my gears worse than seeing what the MCU did to Ant-Man. Well, first of all, they made, which is, I'm moving to another argument here.
Come on, speak on it. Speak on it.
They turned Ant-Man into an old man and then gave
Yeah.
us Ant-Man #3 as the main Ant-Man. Like, so we just gonna completely skip over Ant-Man #2, who is
Mhm.
a bit pervert. You know, my man's was doing
I think that's
stuff.
for the best. I think that was for the
It
best.
was for the best. It was for the best. But I'm just saying, like, everything does not have to be comic book accurate completely because comic books can do things that real life movies can't.
Right.
Especially when you start putting in what time period these things come about.
Mhm.
So we can't have pervy Ant-Man running around in women's showers in the MCU. You can't have that. You just
No.
can't have that. We probably can't really see, although it would make a very powerful movie, but for the MCU, the original Ant-Man being a young man with Jane running around and they're having their issues where
Yeah.
I don't know the abuse thing happened in the comic book. We're not going to be able to see
Yeah.
that. Now I will say this: DC is bold enough to likely give us a Dr. Light and what Dr. Light had done in the comic books.
Oh, I hope not.
I think they might be bold enough.
Boy, I think James Gunn is bold enough to do it, but I don't know if he should pull the trigger on that.
Oh, that's all HBO. That's all HBO movie right there. Like HBO show. Dr.
That's like
Light, what Dr. Light did?
that's like some Watchmen level stuff.
That is some Watchmen level stuff.
Oh man.
We can't talk about it on this show because
No.
we try to keep it clean here and keep it safe, especially in this conversation. But maybe
Yeah.
that's something we can revisit later, especially when Novocaine comes back. By the way, talk to Novocaine, and she's almost ready to make her return, y'all. That's some small fry stuff, but it's still probably going to be a while. But anyway, that's probably some stuff we could talk about with Novocaine on because that's one of those heavy episode moments.
Yeah. I don't know. I want to switch gears just a tad bit because I want your
We
opinion
definitely got to
on
switch gears at this point. So you switching right on up, bro.
it. Like How do you feel about race swapping in comic book movies?
It depends.
Oh, okay. Speak on it.
If that race is not intrinsic to the character, like I can't see anyone else. I can't see any other race in the shoes of Riri Williams because her
No.
story is so black centric, stereotypically so, but it still is.
Yeah.
But if and I will almost argue that Aquaman story kind of needs to be a white guy. It just
Yeah.
feels like it should stay that way. But if we're talking about, I don't know, I know I said we're switching gears from Dr. Light. If we're talking about they turned Dr. Light to say an Asian character, I wouldn't do that. But
Yeah.
if they did, it wouldn't make that big of a difference with the
Now,
character.
now they did change Heimdall from white man. I think he has red hair to Idris
Mm-hmm.
Elba,
Yeah.
and Lawrence Fishburne was um Perry White in the
Yeah.
Man of Steel original failed flopped DC verse. He's going to be black again in the upcoming one, and he's black in My Adventures of Superman. And
Jimmy is also black in
Jimmy's
My
also
Adventures
black.
of Superman.
Right. He's also black in Supergirl.
Is Jimmy the original Jimmy redhead too, right?
Yeah, white
They're
redhead.
not
Yeah,
beating they're not beating the allegations. Hollywood is not beating the
nah.
allegations of turning redhead characters to black people.
Hey, damn, I realized that in real time. And I have one more.
They're
I
not
have one
beating them
more.
allegations, bro. They're not beating them.
And in the upcoming Wonder Man series, he's going to be black. He's going to be played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen, who I think should have been T'Challa too, but we're not ready for that conversation yet. But
We still
yeah,
got Secret Wars. Let's see how that goes.
yeah.
And with the way Wonder Man's not keep getting pushed back, we might not see that either.
It got pushed back.
Although it was a rumor saying it was not happening or something happened within the story.
So
But
that's getting pushed back. Blade's been pushed back a ton, and Armor
yeah,
Wars is in limbo. And another word on the Ironheart series. What's going on, Kevin Feige?
I think Ironheart is pretty much dropping because we already seen the trailers for that leak.
What
a
you
couple of
got
times.
going on? What's going on, James?
I don't
I mean, not
know.
James, not James. Kevin.
Kev.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my thing about Wonder Man, though. I think Nathan Fillion would probably be the better casting for Wonder Man.
Okay.
I feel like he fit the mold way better than Yaya does.
Yeah.
I'm with Yaya being T'Challa though. I think he should definitely after Secret Wars, he should definitely be able to take that role. He will rock that.
After I saw him in Black Panther Aquaman, I was like, you know what? I can see him. I can
White
see
Black
it.
Panther.
Listen, bro. Samoan Black Panther. Samoan Panther.
Right.
But yeah.
First of all, my man Arthur is Samoan in that movie, right?
Yeah.
And his brother is white. That's a
Super
Cinderella
white.
casting. That's
Super
some Cinderella. That's some Disney Cinderella Brandy casting on that one.
Man, I don't know, man. Them Django Fett jeans might be super strong. I don't know.
Anyway, sorry, off subject again. See, this is why we can't talk about comic book stuff because we just be like, wait a minute, that don't make any sense. Anyway,
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, my bad, y'all. Is there anything else you want to talk about while we're on this subject? Because
Yeah. I mean, we can go all day, man. I just want these studios to care. Like, my gripe with the Aaron Pierre cast is it Pierre or Pierre?
I don't know.
I've
never heard him say his name.
I don't know, but my gripe isn't with him. Like, fellow black man, go get your bag, go secure your status, go secure, like go make a name for yourself. Like, do all those things. I'm not mad at him at all.
Get your money, black man. Get your money.
Yeah, for sure. Get your bag, bro. Secure that thing. it's with my gripe is with these studios, bro, because they don't care. Like they don't care about us. They don't care about how we look, how we feel. Not just like, as people of color, but as comic book fans in the medium. They're just throwing everything at the wall that sticks and just hope that we just buy it. And I think one of the biggest offenders of this is Sony. Like,
Are we moving into Venom now?
oh, we here now. I can circle back to Warner Brothers because they super do not care about us.
No,
Super do not care about us.
No,
but we can make a pit stop at Sony real quick. First of all, before we get to Venom, I think one of the most things that insulted my intelligence the most was when they said for the Morbius trailers that another Marvel legend. Like, respectfully, you can bleep this out. I'm about to cut. Who the gives a about Morbius?
Wait a minute.
Who cares about Morbius?
Hold on. Before we go that deep, I don't know if Morbius got fans. I'm not saying he does. But I can kind of see the argument for him being a bit of a legend in the lore of Marvel as a whole, because he's from that old time, that old school. If it's like the anime marketing, we all know anime is just animated, so it just means animated. So, but to differentiate yourself from your DC legends, you have your Marvel Legends moniker. Is it one that he deserves? Probably not.
No.
But I can understand why they said it. They gotta sell this movie, man. They gotta sell the movie.
Morbius is not what Shazam used to be. For those who don't know, Shazam, Captain Marvel, at what point was bigger than Superman?
Oh, he was beating the boy Wonder down.
Beating the brakes off his Boy Scout, off the Boy Scout.
For real. It was right. It was I said the boy Wonder, I went Blue Wonder, my bad. It was nothing that Superman could do to make to beat Shazam.
Right. The marketing shifted when DC was like, you know what? Like, people love Captain Marvel, Shazam. But at the end of the day, he's still a 10-year-old boy when he transforms back.
Yeah.
So they took the energy they were giving him and they put it into pushing Superman. And that's why Superman is the way that he is. They thought that people could gravitate more towards Superman in the longer run, in the bigger scheme of things. And you know what? They were right. They were right.
But you have to give it to the DC lawyers from back in the day.
Yeah.
The way they just kind of deboed Shazam and this.
Yeah.
And it is a long story.
It's
and
a long
if you
story.
want it, I'm gonna shout out Comic Drake because I believe that is the video that you probably should watch to get the explanation for how DC acquired Shazam. Because it is a very interesting story. In fact, the whole story with the Captain Marvel name is mad interesting. It is a complicated history, one that I am not qualified to tell. So check out Comic Drake on YouTube because he got all them answers for you. But DC, the lawyer squad on DC, oh my God, they be batting 1,000 and winning all the time.
Right. So going back to my point, Morbius is not Shazam. In no way, shape, or form is Morbius Shazam. There was no relation there. There was no kind of pushing it there. Sony said, we're going to take this one character and we're just going to just roll with it. And we're gonna tell people this is a Marvel legend, even though he's not a Marvel legend. He's just somebody they picked that was related to Spider-Man, that he made a few appearances in the cartoon that some people may or may not remember. That was his big one. That was his big one. And they did that. Don't even get me started on Madam Web. Don't even get me started. Then they want to do a
Why is Madam Web? Why is Madam Web like one of the coolest characters in the Spider-Man universe? And you was like, oh, she's young in the comics, so let's just make a show about her.
And hold on, and to add some sprinkles on this non-Sunday to sweeten the pot for this movie, we're gonna throw in Ben Parker.
Oh, perfect.
We're gonna throw in Ben Parker.
You guys like Spider-Woman from Into the Spider-Verse? Here's a Spider-Woman. Here's Spider-Women.
Here's Spider-Women. Here's Spider-Women. We're gonna have them in costume, like in promotional and in flashbacks in the movie, but they don't get their costumes in the actual movie at all.
See, again, this is why I didn't watch.
Man.
Wasted potential. Sony be wasting potential like left and right, though.
And don't even get me started on the fact that they tried to make a Sinister Six movie. They took Michael Keaton from the Homecoming movie and put him over to Sony, and him not wanting to be a bad guy anymore, wants him to be part of a Sinister Six or not so Sinister Six. Therefore, what are we doing? What are we doing? Don't even get me started on Craven. Don't even get me started on Craven. I love Aaron Johnson Taylor. I think he's a phenomenal actor. I loved him in everything that I've ever seen him in, whether it's Kick-Ass, Bullet Train. Like, I don't care. Everything I've seen him in, I've loved him in. But like, I don't. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Hold on. Before we get angry about Craven, the argument can be made out of all these random series, the strongest character that you can do a standalone for is Craven. Like, because
so far,
his backstory is kind of dynamic for the comic genre itself.
Yeah.
So I think if there's one other than Venom that can be pulled off here, it's Craven.
But his thing is ultimately he don't have no powers until he gets his DNA mixed up and then he becomes the Prowler, or what is he called, the Prowler?
No,
I forget.
No, that's another character. I don't know.
Yeah, I forget what he turns into, but he's like a little part lion. He got all that DNA in him. Anyway, the point is, like, he doesn't have powers. He's just a man that is really, really, really good at hunting things.
When you break it down like that is unfair to Craven. Okay, he
can't talk to animals. He don't have no super strength. He's not super quick. He's not super fast. He's just really, really good at hunting things.
Oh, that's almost like saying Aquaman is really good at swimming.
No. I will not diminish Aquaman like that. that is a social perception of him, and I blame many cartoons for that.
Super Friends, right out the gate. The Super Friends.
Right. Oh my god.
Since we are talking about how comics and movies and TV shows mess up characters, there is the biggest mess up of all time of any medium is absolutely how they treat Aquaman.
Absolutely. For those of you who don't know, Arthur Curry is that dude.
Arthur Curry is Superman underwater.
Yes.
He's also Superman out of water. Like, if Superman and Arthur actually fight, it is city leveling possible. Like, he is not like some weak dude. Arthur does more than talk to dolphins and jet ski on the back of them. And that is because Super Friends from back in the day. You know what I don't understand though? Spider-Man had a goofy cartoon. Superman, all of them was also in Super Friends, and they were all watered down. They were all kind of goofy because of the time period, and that's just how kids' cartoons were. But for some reason, the only one to come out hurt is Aquaman. Like,
this scrappy dude him.
You know what though? Have we ever? I don't think I remember seeing Aquaman throw a fist in them shows. It's like everybody else out here doing they super stuff, and he was like, "Hold on, let me talk to the whale from down the lake." Wait, I could get my whale friends to help. Like, you can do it. You can do it, Aquaman. That's what I was like. You can do this, but you are so lazy.
So your job, you the neighborhood watch. for the
For
seven
real.
seas.
Oh, Black Manta's underwater. Let me talk to the dolphins to see what he was doing.
With your
Like,
head
he's
at?
so lazy. He should have been marketed as the laziest superhero in the series, but for some reason, he's the dude that just tossed the fish.
Hey, I remember I was watching this one video from Cosmonaut
Ace Bane.
Variety Hour.
Oh, I thought you was gonna say Ace Bane. Shout out to Ace Bane. His videos be
Shout out to
funny.
Ace Bane,
Continue.
yeah. Cosmonaut Variety Hour. That's Cosmonaut Marcus. That guy's hilarious. He's like a top 10 like YouTuber for me. But he made this video talking about like DC and he mentioned how Aquaman was like extremely disrespected as a character. And he pointed out one clip where he's like, I'm gonna talk to the fish, and Wonder Woman's in the background, kind of looking at him like he had this one, it was this one clip from the show. And it's like, I don't remember that show very
Oh
well. But it's like,
man,
dang,
yo,
they disrespected that
they
man.
shout out to the current Aquaman films, even though the second one didn't do so well because of very personal actors and actresses lifestyles. But shout out to them because they really did put some respect on Aquaman's name. Jason is an amazing Aquaman, although since we're talking about miscast, he should have been Lobo. Like, how is he not Lobo?
Oh my
What's
God,
wrong?
that's perfect.
Like, dude
Him as
is
Lobo?
literally Lobo,
That energy is definitely Lobo.
right? And
Oh my gosh.
DC missed out on their version. Okay, so I know I'm gonna say this, and I am well aware that Deadpool is Marvel's version of Deathstroke. I know this, okay?
Mhm.
But Lobo is literally DC's Deadpool, okay? He might not talk to the camera, he don't break the fourth wall, but if we're talking about antics, he's not as cartoony, but if we're just talking about the bravado that he has, the jokes, the foul-mouthness, the just do not care attitude, I'm just gonna do me, it's Lobo. Like, he was right there. You had a chance to have $1 million franchise, DC, and you said, no, we good. Let's cast him as Aquaman. Because Aquaman
Yeah.
should have been a blonde white guy. I'm sorry, it's just the truth.
Man.
That's my rant. That's my rant.
Man. What was my man's name that played Deathstroke in those movies, in the live action movie? Well, he had the cameo appearance. Joe Manganiello, I want to say.
Something like that.
Am I saying his name right? Apologies if I mispronounced
I don't
his
think
name.
you are, but I think you're close.
He is perfect casting for Deathstroke.
No, I think you said it right.
Perfect casting for Deathstroke.
Agreed.
But
yet does not get any screen time as Deathstroke.
Nah, maybe they fumbled that whole universe. That's the thing, man. Going like we're back to square one. Like, and now we're on. I'm gonna bring it to Warner Brothers now. It's they be having us, and they know they have a market with us. I'm just kind of tired of them just throwing stuff at us and just hoping that it latches on. They're playing catch up with the MCU over at Warner Brothers.
True.
And they're already rebooting a universe before the MCU is even close to being done with theirs because they don't care. And that's why stuff like this bothers me. Like we talked about Aaron Pierre's Aaron P's casting, Rebel Ridge, his casting. And I said the movie name. Okay.
Yeah. By the way, that I still feel like Rebel Ridge should be a franchise. I'm done. Go ahead, continue.
You're right, but yeah, just we talk about these things, and it's like they're so guilty of just not caring and just trying to, I don't know, slap Batman on this, slap Superman on that, or slap this character on this, and just hope that we just don't notice that we're too stupid to care. And Peacemaker is like an exception. That was a breath of fresh air. Like they definitely did some things with certain characters. It's kind of like, what the hell? The Suicide Squad is another one where it's like, Yeah, so I understand how James Gunn could get the job. Like, you want somebody in charge. You want like your own version of Kevin Feige. You want somebody who's around, who's gonna, care. The Batman was a passion project. I know some people question the
Robert Pattinson.
yeah, Robin Pattinson. I was gonna say the Battinson. That's what I was
Pattinson, yeah.
struggling with, the Battinson.
I think that's an acceptable answer now. That man
Yeah.
is, I don't care what none of y'all say. That movie was great.
That
And this
movie,
universe is amazing.
yeah.
It's
And
the best
it's
Batman.
care. It's care. And that's what we need. So can we have that consistently? Because Marvel, with its casting and the way they portray characters, they do certain things, but for the most part, they're faithful to us as viewers and as people of color. Like, there's a level of respect there, and it's a level of respect there that, I don't know, like, Warner Brothers just doesn't give us as viewers, and to a lesser degree, like, because this is one time, one cast, and it's not like it's not the hill to die on, but as people of color as well, like, you've shown a lack of care, and that's why you're behind the eight ball. Like,
True.
I'm gonna get into the Joker movies now. Well, no, let me finish my point on Batman, because here's my problem with Batman and Warner Brothers Media.
Mm-hmm.
Every Batman movie, and you can look this up, you can quote me or whatever. Every Batman movie has traces of the same few Batman movies in them, Batman stories in them.
True.
The Long Halloween, Year Zero, The Killing Joke. Some element in every one of those stories you can find in every Batman film.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
There are elements of those four stories in every Batman film. Like, as much as we like the Batman as a film, it is The Long Halloween in Year Zero.
Yeah.
Like, still enjoy it. It's not a one for one, but it's basically that. I don't know. It's like, and as much as I do enjoy it, it's like, we're smarter than that. You can be creative. You can do a little bit more than that. I appreciate the care, but
Yeah.
you could do a little bit. You give us a little bit more. Like, we're smarter than that. Like, what are you going to do now? Like, No Man's Land for the next Batman movie,
I
which would
don't
be
know,
different.
but what was cool about this latest, the Matt Reeves Batman, is it fit his tone, fit the character that is Batman. It's supposed to be dark. It's supposed to be gloomy. It's supposed to feel comic booky. There was campiness there. I think the only miss from the universe so far was the portrayal of the Riddler.
Yeah.
That's it. Because the Riddler is always this over the top zaniness by him, but not always, because the Riddler has his serious moments.
Yeah.
And he has his tone brought back a lot. He's not the Joker. The Joker is completely crazy character. So I mean, the way I put the metrics on zaniness in Batman's universe is Joker at the top, Riddler in the middle, and then anarchy is at the bottom. Like, that's kind of how that's my barometer for the character. And the Riddler was leaning too close to anarchy. And see, this is my issue with turning Batman serious, because this was my issue with the Joker in the previous universes, both of them actually, even Jared Leto's. He was too close to just doing things because he wanted anarchy, and there's a character for that, and let that character stand on his own. If you want to do an anarchy movie, just do an anarchy movie. If you're gonna do a Joker movie, I feel like Jack Nicholson probably had the better version, only because his motivations were in the long run, kind of nonsensical. Like,
Right.
why was Jack? Why was that Joker doing any of the stuff he was doing? It's because he was what, infatuated with Batman at that point. It's like he
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to press the buttons of him, and I think that is where the Joker shines the brightest in every single iteration he's in, aside
Mm-hmm.
from the 1960s version of Joker, where he was a bank robber,
Yeah.
which the Joker needs money for his operations, so it makes sense that he will be trying to rob banks all the time because he's
Yeah.
basically crazy. Joker is a mad scientist at the end of the day. Let's talk about the Joker films. Let's end it on the Joker films.
Okay. You want to start us off?
All right, so if you haven't watched Joker, we have Arthur Fleck, right? He's an older Joker, which is I'm cool with, given the fact that Batman is so much younger than Joker is. Batman is allegedly younger than the Joker in most iterations. We don't really know. But the thing that I have, the gripe that I have about this Joker, especially finding out the ending, because I haven't seen the second one yet, but finding out how it ends, wasted potential. Um, the characters, the characterization of Joker is kind of wrong. I get it. You want to do your own thing and you want to make this universe different. I am okay with different universes, but at the end of the day, there needs to be an overlap within all these characters, and having face paint and a laugh is not the only overlap that you need. Even when you look at the Batman who laughs, even though that was complete edge lore, um, one of the reasons a lot of people do not like him is because it's Bruce Wayne Jokerized,
Mm-hmm.
and he just kind of does things that neither the Joker or Bruce Wayne should have access to, but for some reason he does. But if you look at the character, if you look at it from a Joker standpoint, it is still flashes of the Joker there. If you look at it from a Batman standpoint, it is still flashes of Batman there. When it comes down to Arthur Fleck, he does not have the hallmarks of the Joker that all the other ones have. Can I exactly tell you exactly what every hallmark of the Joker is? No, but it is more than just having a goofy laugh and being angry at the world. I don't think that's any of the Joker's real, because he kind of like loves the world for the most part, though. But what's your opinions?
Uh okay. You're right. There's no hallmark of who the Joker is as part of that character. What part of Arthur Fleck do you look at and be like, you know what? This guy can put a plan together and hold the city ransom and force Batman to come out from the shadows to force a confrontation, because that's what he was ultimately looking for anyway. There's nothing mastermind about Arthur Fleck as a character.
No.
And I think this is like we talk about adapting things and representation in comic books or comic book adaptations of those things and the like. I think I said the same thing twice just there. That's how angry this thing gets me. I think Warner Brothers caught lightning in a bottle with that first one, and
Yeah.
ultimately an ultimately empty project. Like, Joaquin Phoenix is a fantastic actor. He did a fantastic job, and my gripe with the movie has nothing to do with him personally.
No,
I
that's
think
why everybody went to go see it, though, because it was Joaquin Phoenix in the role of the Joker. This is
yeah,
the Joker is comic book
yeah,
royalty,
and
and to see him,
that's part of the problem.
true, but to
He's a,
see Joaquin Phoenix portray him, that is why people came. They're like, "Yo, this is Joker, arguably the greatest villain of all time, with one of the most eccentric actors of all time. This is gonna be gold."
and you're telling me in all of this, they're just getting an origin story from an unreliable narrator. That's the whole film. Was it
True.
true? Was it not true? Like, was everything real? Was it not real? The girlfriend wasn't real. But what about the mom and the lies? Like the Bruce Wayne like half brother thing, that was a stretch. And for him to be that much older than Bruce Wayne, I don't know, man. Just it made me think like by the time Batman comes of age, you don't need to be in Arkham, you need to be in a home. Like so much older than him. But yeah, it just did a whole lot of, and it's like for what? What are we doing? Like, and then again, Joaquin Phoenix, amazing actor, but as a project, as a comic book fan, it's like it was empty, it was soulless, it was a money grab. I saw the movie for free, and I still wanted my money back because like, what are we doing? And
So
then they made a sequel following the same thing, and it's like I
hold
have
on.
no
Before you go
problem
into
with.
the sequel, hold on.
Okay,
Before you go
okay,
into the sequel, my
okay.
argument is because we've seen so much of Batman, and everyone assumed that this is a part of the major Batman universe, right? So we know Ra's al Ghul exists somewhere in the world. So Joker being older could easily he could maintain that because one, if Joker was a chemist, you'd be like, he just found a solution because we know Joker could do some stuff like that. But we also need the Fountain of Youth to be there. The not the Fountain of Youth. What's the pit called?
The Lazarus Pit.
The Lazarus Pit. Thank you. We assumed in our mind of knowing all Batman stuff that the Lazarus Pit is somewhere. You'd be like, okay, so he can still be alive if he's seen the Lazarus Pit. But when your director come out and be like, it's not connected to anything, this is just his own story, it kind of like takes all the wind out of the possibility of you caring.
Yeah, and like
Yeah,
this,
my
and
bad.
it ties back to my greater point. Like even with the sequel, which not even Lady Gaga could save. All love and respect to Gaga, but my God, you want to do a version of Harley Quinn. You don't even want to call her Harley. You call her Lee. Then you want to do the yes, bro. Then then
Why are we here?
then on top of which, the struggle in this movie is like I did do it, but I don't want to be the Joker anymore. But then I accept myself as the Joker, and it's like, what? First of all, the Joker doesn't have an identity. That nobody tell me anything. Please tell me anything factual you know about the Joker in the comic books post him being the clown prince of crime. Please, anybody, tell me anything factual about that man.
Even though we've actually had factual moments, it always comes back to we still don't know. I mean, we
We
had
still don't
plenty
know.
of explanations for the Joker. We've had
That's
plenty of names. We've seen families he possibly had, but we still don't know.
we no, and that's the point of it all. Like the Joker is a mystery. He is a force of nature. He's more of an event than anything else. Like
True.
he just is. And Warner Brothers took it upon themselves to not only try to give him a sequel, a backstory, and explanation once, but twice. And I think it's an insult to comic book fans. And I think that's the whole thing. Like they do not care, and I'm
They
so
tried to
sick of.
Wolverine. They tried to
Right.
Wolverine the Joker.
Thank you. Oh my God, that is such a good way to put it.
Let
And
me go back because I never told, and then we got to end the show because I never said my piece on Aaron Pierre. I was ecstatic with the casting because skin tone aside, which yes, I noticed. I did notice that he's not a dark skinned male, okay?
Mhm.
But all the other hallmarks of the character, he actually checks every single box. So I was like, this is what we're gonna get. Is he's already cast, and unless he decides to drop out, they're not gonna drop. So I'm like, I knew he had the juice. This is the truth. When they said he was up for the casting, I had already said he probably was gonna get him. Maybe I
Yeah,
jinxed it, but I saw he was popular right now. It was him. It was nobody else that was going to outbid him for this job right now because Ridge Road was really good. He has the military side of everything. He looks like he might play the heck out of a smart dude. He could play the role. He had it. So at first I was cool with that. But then after listening to you go to battle versus Twitter for like 3 days straight, then I think you was also going to work on
on
Facebook for 3
Facebook.
days straight. Then
Yeah,
then for some reason TikTok was like, well, let me tell you why you should be concerned. And then there was a slew of video, but one in particular crossed my timeline, and it was the one with the creator explaining why he made John Stewart, which reminded me of my favorite John Stewart moment, which I mentioned earlier, the moment about the mask. And I was like,
Mhm.
as much as I like Aaron Pierre, as much as I was ready to just overlook him being cast, the Black Panther side of me won't allow me to just be
And
happy with that. So
and
yes,
that's the thing about the characters, 'cause they do have moments like that in the comics where they establish why they do certain things the way that they do, or why they are the way that they are. And because folks either don't know because they don't know, or they don't read, or they refuse to read, or they weren't exposed to it, well, however you want to frame it, like they don't know the importance. Like people like us, we know.
yeah,
But to somebody like some of the people like on Facebook I had this discussion with, they don't know. For them, this is just a character, and they're just
yeah,
happy. They're happy to be just given whatever. He could have been light skinned, and they would have been happy all the same.
yeah. So because if I'm being real, you know this, John Stewart is probably one of my all-time favorite characters. And
Hey,
if there was a character in comic book where I can say that I've been inspired in life to be the person that I am, if there was one that actually had an impact on my actual everyday thought process, it's John Stewart. Because when
hey,
you read
man,
his origins, it absolutely hits you that way.
hey,
And
man, but
being a black male, and we're bald, uh,
see
being a
him and
black
Luke
male,
Cage, like they made it look cool.
yeah, and being a black male, that it was a very important. He is a very important character, and the reason I'm excited for him to even have on screen persona finally, and I hope it's done correctly, even if since we are stuck with Aaron, it'll give a chance for John Stewart to have more merchandise and a more of a prominent fixture within the comic book world outside of the comic book. And for that, I can be excited for, because he is a character that people absolutely need to know, because he deserves to be known, because he's a great
Mhm.
character. All right, but
Fantastic character.
we got to end it right there. I want to thank everybody for coming through and listening to us rant and chat about some of our favorite characters and some of the casting choices and representation on screen of these characters, because we like talking about comic books. It's evident at this point, right? So thank you guys for coming through. Make sure you check out JB versus the World over on YouTube, and I think you have a Facebook presence as well.
Yeah, like everything is right here spelled out. You spell it all out, put together. You say it all at one time, like a Tribe Called Quest or JB versus the World on all my socials except for Twitter. So YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, spell it out like that. I'm right there. And if you want to argue with me on Twitter, JBV the World. Right, hold on, wrong finger. Other way. Nope, I'm messing it up.
You, I think we got it. I think.
Yeah, it's there. It's there. It's right there. That's gonna
Yo,
bother
it
me.
was so cool at
There
first, and then
it is.
you just kind of dropped the ball.
There it is, right there. Yeah, on Twitter. I'm gonna call him Twitter
But
because I'm gonna call him Twitter.
you see mine say Twitter too. Yeah. Hit your boy up on Instagram and Twitter as well if you want to talk about these things, because I'm all open for it. I'm not gonna argue with you like that, but if you want to have the conversation with me, I'm always game for the conversation.
He's not
But
gonna argue with you for real.
make sure you hit us up on Good Pods. Make sure you hit us up on YouTube. Find us on Facebook. Find us on Instagram. Find us on TikTok. You can check out any of the social medias to find out where we are. We definitely have a link directly to all of this stuff. So if you find us on Instagram, you'll have the link. You find us on Twitter, you'll have the link. It's a Society and Pop Culture 101. But anyway, I have been instructor BK Spades.
I am your gym teacher and part-time instructor, JB.
Thank you guys for listening. We love you. Make sure you check out CCN as well. That's the Culture Class Network. Those are our peoples. That's our network we're involved in. It's on the screen too. But
We
anyway,
are family.
Anyway, we up out, man. Thank y'all for listening. Love y'all.
Yeet.
Society and Pop Culture 101 is a Culture Clash Network podcast. If you're interested in podcasts just like Society and Pop Culture 101, make sure to check out a podcast from our network. We got JB versus the World, Get Your Podcast, Marks with Mics, Powerbomb Jitsu, and The Humble Roses. We got what you need, so keep it locked. This is CCN. Thanks for listening.